Right. So through most of these sections, you keep it pretty consistent. Like you're on a good pace, but there's little things, like little habits that slow you down, and when you repeat them for long enough, guys like Iltak will walk away from you, like by a couple seconds, like in one of the other races that you showed. But I mean, starting out here, you're in the top of fourth, and then you use your NOS as you're going into fifth. But the F40, it's a slow shifting car. So you use that NOS right as you're shifting. The engine has not used any of the NOS. No power has gone to the wheels. You haven't accelerated, actually. So I'd say either get into fifth here now, if you have enough to get to like 200 miles an hour at least. Otherwise, stay in fourth and then go into fifth and try to get to like 200, 210 through this little straight. And then with this corner, assuming that you're already going around 200, this little covered area to the left, that little like tent looking thing with the roofs and all that, benches, yeah, that's my marker to cut this corner. And I'll start turning right, but I'm getting on the curbs on the right side. So I'm trying to graze by that building as close as I can. And yeah, the racing line is super misleading here. And that's one other thing I'd say you should try to work on, because it looks like you tried to follow the racing line through a good amount of these clips. But for this corner, it's completely misleading. You want to get up on the curbs, like that little, like right next to the right edge of the checkpoint. That's where you want to go. And then, yeah. And if you ride that corner out just perfectly, you can cut the left of the palm trees that are on your left and just cut a straight line and come out here. But you came out okay, and I'd say use a little more NOS, because you already have a full bar before you're in this corner. Like your NOS management is a lot better than most players that I've seen, but I feel like your little bad habit is that sometimes you don't know when to use enough of it. So I mean, it's not like you lost a whole lot of time. You're in slipstream, and the guy in front messed up, so you're gaining on him. But you probably could have used another like quarter of your top bar here, and still had a full bar coming out of here. So then you're getting up to fourth. I'd say don't bother getting up to fifth here. Just stay in fourth for this whole section. Don't go into fifth or third, because each shift you're losing speed automatically, because it's a slow shift and you're not getting power to the wheels. Stay in fourth. Even if you dip below 138 miles an hour, which is third gear, just stay in fourth, because then you can use a half bar, which you did. That's great. And you get up to enough speed to take these corners. And you took them okay. Like this one, maybe could have taken it a little faster, but like that's splitting tenths. Like those are your lines, and that's something for you to work on. But you did this section pretty good. It's just there's little things that kind of slow down your pace, but you don't really think about it, you know? this clip. So you got the racing start, T50S, you just hit the dirt cut. Pretty clean, you know, came out first. That's always nice. People are dying. But first off, this corner, one thing I noticed in this route specifically, you kind of drive at the apex and then you start turning. But I'd say with this one, follow the racing line. Like, there's definitely corners where you don't follow the racing line, but this one, just try to start as wide as you can, because like I've taken like the wide line around people on this road. Like, it's not as sharp of a curve as the colors on the racing line make it seem. Like, you could literally start turning like here if you were pointed like just parallel with the road and not in the gutter, and you'd still make it. Like, it's not a very sharp curve at all. And then you're going through here, and you brake too early here, and you do that in the race after this one too, which is on the same route. But I'd say you got to have that level of faith in the car, because let's see, you were in 5th gear for the most part. Like, you were almost pushing 210. Yeah, 202. So, I mean, in 5th gear, literally brake like here. Like, I'm not joking. 13.5 braking is no joke in the T50S. Plus, you can trail brake into here, because I'm pretty sure we've talked about trail braking before too. Like, your braking marker should be cut in half in this car, and so you get bumped from the back, and yeah. But I'd say with cars like this specifically, like, it might be because you just got them, and I totally understand that, but practice them in the playlists. Like, try to get a feel for just when you need to brake for corners like this, because the braking line can be misleading for a car like this. And this thing, you can literally just send it into corners, and then it just miraculously comes out the other end. And other cars just don't brake like this car does, so just keep that in mind. And then this is what I was talking about earlier too. You kind of drive into the apex. The thing about this corner is it's slanted out. Like, you have a negative camber, you know, so it's like the opposite of the carousel in the Nürburgring. You have less grip automatically. You're trying to grab the gutter, but you're not using the whole track. If you started wider and like turned in from the very widest part of the road around here and stuck the gutter, you can make this corner at that speed. But you don't just go straight into the gutter here. Try to use the whole track, because then you can carry the most speed. And that applies to corners like this, but not the same for hairpins, but I'm going to get into that in another clip. But for the most part, the rest of this section, you do pretty good. Like, I'd say you're like 90% of the way there. Like, there's just little things, like consistency-wise and driving style-wise, that you need to touch up. But your lines are good. It's just, you need to have more faith in some of the cars, especially this one, because the T50S, other cars don't carry the same amount of speed through corners as the T50S does. So you do kind of need like a certain level of faith. Just like, okay, like, I'm just going to send it in and it's going to come out. If I mess it up, then I know what not to do next time. But usually, if you send it just the right amount of extra, this car just hooks it together. And the brakes are so good that even if you miss a gutter, you can just give it a quick tap and you won't even hit the walls. So that's a nice part about this one too. You're going through here. It's all good. But yeah, I like your NOS management. There are some instances where you should use a little more though. I mean, here it was completely fine. coming off that same topic, this this straightaway here, like I think Iltak like passed you a little bit, but he did what I'm gonna tell you what to do now. Like even though he got a better corner exit, so he had to use less nos. Just use as much nos as you need to get to 280 here as quickly as possible. Okay, the clip is kind of cut off, but he walks you like, because you guys both got in the tunnel about a second apart, and then I think I did the counting. You were almost 4 or 5 seconds off by the end of the straightaway, because he got to 200. He got the like basically top speed faster than you, and so reason I say use as much nos as you can, because look at the minimap. You're decelerating here. You don't want to use nitrous here either, I'm assuming. So you're decelerating here, and then you're decelerating here. That gives you a lot of time to rebuild your nos. And so that's one thing. And you hit this gutter good. And then one thing I'd say with gutters like this, don't try to don't trail break into your turn in like before you're in the gutter. I'd say try to get the widest line, like the widest straight line you can into the gutter. And then once you're in the gutter, start trail breaking, because that's just the faster line. Like the less time you spend, or the more time you spend just getting the extra grip from the gutter, the faster your line's going to be. I know it's counterintuitive, because but you'll carry more speed if you just, like with these hairpins, it's a little different. So just try to find that straight line. Just use all your grip for braking in a straight line, and then start trail braking in, and then find when you want to accelerate out. But one more thing, this is just like for this section specifically. This is a mistake I see a lot of people making nos management wise, and it's like I completely understand it. But like you come out of here, you use about a quarter bar. I'd say you can use a third to half, because by the time you're out of here, you'll basically have a full bar. But then here, don't use more than like 2/3 of that top bar, because what happens after is you hit this. You don't have a full bar, but you have a big old straightaway and a very fast corner coming right up after, So that's one thing to keep in mind. It's like you have to prioritize which straightaway you want more nos for, because this hairpin is worth about half a bar. But yeah, same thing. Try not to follow the racing line as much with corners like this. If you're guttering, then the car's physics literally change with the way that you're taking the gutter turns. So as comfortably as you can, try to just shoot a straight line to the gutter, and then trail brake in and get that corner exit. And then yeah, you got up to speed here, and that's good. And then something happens here, and you're hitting this. Yeah, I mean, this is okay, right? And then you're getting up to 5th. Crap, there was one last thing. All right, we had some technical issues. Something happened. Continuing on that, so you just got out of that little like dirt area, that whole cut. You're accelerating up into 5th, and then I mean like while you're still turning, you go into 6th and you use your nos. And I can tell from experience, like with this specific part of the track, like I'll tell you the way I do it personally. Even with this exact same car, you did this turn just fine, but I'd say wait until you're completely evened out before you start like using nitrous, because even though your car isn't spinning, it doesn't mean that you're not just spinning the wheels. So like because I could use, let's see, you used about a half bar, right? Like 2/3. I'd use 3/4 of my top bar, and I can get up to 260, 270 miles an hour. And then by the time I've crossed over to shit. By the time I've crossed over to here, this section, I'll have another 3/4, and I can blast that out. Like, I'll even go into the bottom part of my nitrous just to keep some of that momentum, and then you can hook this turn, you can hook this turn. But the reason I'm saying you can use more nitrous on this straightaway is because it's one of the last straightaways you have where you want to be going as fast as you can, right? Because then you're decelerating here, you're decelerating here even more. And then this is a very short straightaway where you're about to slow down even more. You don't need a full tank of nitrous here. You don't need a full bottle. So try to use as much as you can on the straights beforehand, like around here. Like as much as you can. Like I wouldn't mind dipping into the bottom bar at that point. Like sure, you want some nitrous here, but this is not as important as carrying speed through this straight, and the straight before that little dirt cut. But yeah, it comes with practice too, like learning which parts of the track and just kind of making your mental notes. Sorry, that was kind of funny. I've done that before too. All right, next clip. Well, this is the next clip, but hey, you're coming out of here, you get into fourth. That's right about where you want to be going through this section of the F40, because this is the car I use in Street 2 99% of the time. And then you're coming through here. I'd say you have a pretty long straight, followed by, like, if you make mental notes of the track, at the end of here, you're decelerating. You have a very short straight where you don't even want to use that much nitrous, because this is a pretty tight gutter and it's misleading. As you can see, it's misleading. So you're decelerating, and then you're decelerating again, and you have a pretty short straight. Like, you can maybe use a little bit of nitrous, right? And then this is where you want your nitrous to be back again, basically. But this is a pretty, like, good amount of time spent just, like, decelerating and then slightly accelerating. So, like, leading up to that, I'd say use as much NOS as you need to coming out of here to just get up to speed immediately. Because especially if the guys in front of you are slipstreaming, you want to get up to speed as fast as possible. because they're gonna start walking away from you. Like, at this point, staying in your top bar is less important than just getting up to speed, because over here you're gonna get your NOS back anyways. You don't even need to use nitrous here unless you like come to a dead stop. You don't really need to. So yeah, you're going through here, and then same thing I was talking about with the gutters. Like, you hit it clean. I'm not saying you did anything wrong with the way you hit that corner. Like, that takes, you have the mechanical skill, and some players don't, but you definitely have that. It's just about the way in which you use it. And then yeah, you come through here. I don't hit that jump personally, but you stuck it. You got it. Yeah. It's just like, it's about when you want to use your NOS. And you're coming out of here. This is something I noticed with a lot of people too. You use a lot of your NOS in the early gears. So let's see. You're in second. You use about a quarter to a third. And then you're in third. You're down to a half bar, down to a quarter bar. And then you're in fourth. But fourth takes a lot longer to accelerate than second and third. So, like, personally, I'll use a couple little taps. Like, I'll barely even use nitrous for second, and then I'll just use, like, a couple, like, split-second taps of my NOS in third, and then I'll use, like, a half bar for fourth, and let the car do some of the work, and then if it's taking a little longer, I'll use another quarter bar. And then I'm in fifth, and depending on how much time I have, like, I'll try to use a little bit in fifth just to get up to speed here. But I'm not getting up to 220 miles an hour here. Like, I'll get up to like 200, a little bit above 200, because then I'm going through this turn, and that's just about the speed that I'll carry through this turn. Maybe I'll come out like a little slower, but then I'll have more nitrous available here. I can get up to like 210. And then, yeah, either you go for the jump or I just go for the corner, because this jump scares me. I don't like it. But then I'll typically have another like 3/4 bar that I can use, and I'll just get up to the top of fourth, which you did. That's good. Yeah, like you're literally like 90% there. But it's just like there's a couple little things that like you don't really realize in the heat of the moment, and a couple of just little habits that if repeated over and over again, one player will just start to walk away from you. I mean, slowly or quickly, that just depends. But that's about it.